Let's make another video about the northern countries. This time I'm gonna make a video about Denmark, and because the last one was so successful that I think only the Nordic people watch it because I have a bunch of dislikes on that video, I feel compelled to make another one. One thing that I forgot to mention about all those Nordic countries is for some reason all of them look like winners. Now let's go to Denmark. Population is around 6 million right now, and you can see they are on the up trajectory, but you can see the growing rate is pretty much all over the place for some reason. And let's look what's happened and why. And I'm gonna start with the past. 1955, 4.4 million people. Now they are around 6 million, so you can see a growth. But let's check this one. Even in 1955, when they have a growth of 0.79% from 4.4 million, the net growing population was 35,000 people. Now they have 0.42% yearly change, but they have 25,000 people. Keep in mind those 0.42 are from 6 million. But let's look at migration. For some reason in the 50s, 60s, and even 70s, migration was pretty much on minus, except 70s. And then let's say from the 80s, Denmark population start to see some migration. I have to say, especially from these numbers, which again I don't think that exactly realistic, but it doesn't look like a huge migration. But keep in mind those numbers are on every single year. So if you have 25,000 per year in 4 years, you're gonna have 100,000 people migrating there, and report to the population as, let's say, 6 million. It is something, in my opinion, not a huge number, but I would say they have some migration on the, let's say, on a medium scale, if those numbers are real, which I don't think that exactly that. Probably there are much more than actually declared, but that's a different topic. 31 years old in 1955 was the median age, which is pretty much, I would say, average for the European, but very high from the world standard, I would say. But now it's 41, so you can see 10 years older than used to be. So that's kind of a huge, let's say, demographic decline when you compare with the median age. But something interesting here is fertility rate. You can see 1955, 2.5. I would say pretty low from those 1955, but you can see they got below replacement from the 1970s. So probably this is going to be one of those countries that they see it for the for the, let's say, the earliest from the European, but also from the entire world. Now if you go from 1970s below population, so you can see already have 55 years below replacement, and you can see even here they start going even lower than that. Probably a lot of growth, I would say, are from those migrants, people that came here in the 80s and 90s. And you can calculate these numbers. You're gonna see probably the native population, they're already going down, and they pretty much sustain the population with the migrants. Now it's not a huge country, as you can see here, and mostly gonna say even in 1955 70% of the population living in urban area, so a huge number, I would say. But now in 2025 that number is almost 90%, so I would say a very low, extremely low population living in the countryside. But you're gonna see then how the countryside look in Denmark. We're gonna look at that immediately. Now let's go in the future a bit. 2050, 6.1 million people, and you're gonna see from 2050, which I think you're gonna see probably from 2040, so 10 years actually earlier, if they get lucky. If those numbers actually are real, like I say, probably the native population, they're already going down. They only sustain their growth with the migrants, but you're gonna see they're going down by those data in 2050. So you already see it doesn't work in Denmark. Like any other countries, they like high taxes and they brag about it and they say how great they are there, but clearly it's not. They cannot even sustain their own population, so clearly it's going to be a system that's going to fail. I know a lot of people that like those systems because they get a lot of things for free, they say, but when you calculate how much taxes they pay, I don't think that's going to make a good argument for them. But stop comparing, like I say, from other countries, because if you compare with other northern countries, pretty much the same situation, and you're gonna say, okay, yeah, we have taxes even in America very high, and you don't then get that much for your money. I'm not saying the American it's a perfect system, but yours is not either. And from what I heard about the people that say such a great system there, everything it's pretty much great. The numbers, even those numbers that they already lie, they don't tell you a full story. And they're on the government side, let's say, on the socialist side, even those numbers don't tell you a good story. But again, it's gonna be one of those videos that a lot of people are gonna hate, but it is what it is, I guess. So by 2050, the median age is gonna go even higher, from the 14.3 to 44.3. So not a huge, but also they're going up. Fertility rate, they say, is gonna stay the same, but again, like I say, probably the native population already going down, and even those migrants, they're not able to sustain it. You're gonna see even by 2035, which again I think already happened, but migrants pretty much make a majority from the growth population. And even for those numbers that they calculate as a native, let's say, population growth, I guess a lot of them are from the first generation migrants there, but nobody gonna tell you that. Urban population gonna go to 95%, so that's pretty much, my opinion, 100%. Now the life expectancy is pretty high. Like I say, with those boring countries, it's not much you can do. They go older and older, so obviously they're gonna have a good life expectancy. For both sexes, gonna be 82 years old, females 84, and males 80 years old. So not that much difference between female and males. And I think, I don't want to speculate here, but when you see that gap getting extremely small between females and even males, you kind of tend to have those socialist countries, I say, in my opinion, and also a bit more woke countries. So at least let's say more feminized than the other countries. But let's look now at the infant mortality 2.8, which is good, but death under age of 5, 3.4. I think it's good, but for the Denmark standard, which I think Denmark is pretty much a leader, especially in the European markets, as a healthcare provider and medicine and all that stuff, to have that 3.4 number, I think it's pretty embarrassing, but that's my opinion. In a city area, Copenhagen, it's the only one population who has over 1 million people. The rest of them, like I said, they're not a big country, but they're pretty much spread out in small towns, especially by the American standard. I mean, they have a second biggest town, 285, and then they go down pretty much. And you're gonna see by 2020 you're gonna have just 44, so not a huge one. Now let's look at Denmark. Denmark is right here, like I say, one of those Nordic countries. Let's see very quickly how they actually live there, and we're gonna go randomly on the map, and I'm gonna choose some spots, but I'm gonna look for some small towns so we can actually compare it. Like I say, it's pretty much like, say, the life as we see it in Norway. It's pretty good. I like it how they look. Look at this, those green fences. I like the housing. It's pretty nice. They don't do a bad life, but like one of my commenters says, it might be nice there when they have pretty much everything that they desire, let's say. No, not everything what they desire, everything what they need, but it looks like a very boring country. That's not my words, it's someone on my that comment on my video, but I kind of agree with that, because okay, you can have all the comfort in the world, that Nordic comfort, for some reason it's just to not load, exactly like we find in Japan. You can have that northern comfort, but that doesn't mean you're gonna have your great life. It's pretty much like that comment say it's gonna be pretty much a boring one, but some people like boring lives, who knows. Or let's say not boring, let's say a small quiet life, something like that. Yeah, again, like I said, it doesn't look bad. That kind of seems okay, but everybody knows what rules are here in those countries, which is pretty much everything illegal. Like I say about Finland, with that guy who got such a huge ticket for speeding, which is unheard of, and all that freedom that, like in other countries, we take it for granted, especially if I would say in America, for my American viewers. And in Sweden we have that video with Jesse James that says that pretty much if you are too big, if you have too much muscle, the police pretty much can pull you over and ask you for an urine sample, and also pretty much charge you with some felony. So that's for me, that's not freedom, that's just playing let's say some internal government agenda. But for the housing and how they live, especially in those countryside, like I say, for some reason they don't load that fast. It's not bad, it's nice, but again, I have to agree with that guy. It kind of feels boring to just living in those areas. And also usually those Nordic countries, they have like 3 days of sunlight, so and also a lot of darkness, so probably gonna stay a lot in those houses. That's why they make it so nice. I want to look very quickly at the history for some reasons, because usually I kind of make that right now in my videos, and let's see how Denmark used to be in the past very quickly. We're not gonna stay too much. So from 4000 BC we're gonna go up. You can see not that much history, probably gonna start something after the year 0. Yeah, we already are like first Danish, it's right here, Kingdom of Denmark from 800. So you can see not a huge history, but there are European countries. I'm not gonna trying to diminish that, but you can see here pretty much their history, so you can actually see they didn't change that much with time, so that's a good thing, I would say. But yeah, they are pretty simple. So yeah, that was the video. I hope you're not gonna hate it that much, but also I would like to hear everybody's opinions about this video. But yeah, for me, Denmark, like I said, not just Denmark, all of those Nordic countries, I think they should be more honest when they advertise themselves, and also the people who talk about them, because there is kind of in two different sides. On one side, there are people to just say everything is perfect there, you should definitely, if you want to immigrate, to go there. And on the other side, it feels like they're not. It's not exactly like that as they say. And I heard from people that used to go there to work, and they actually, some of them live there for a few years, and it's not something, like I say, it's not how they describe it. And definitely it's not perfect at all, and probably you should look at a better option. But like I say, for Europe right now, pretty much any country we go, it doesn't look that good for anything right now. So yeah, that's pretty much Europe situation right now. We're gonna see how it's gonna be in the future. But like I say, for those northern countries, you should at least you should manage your expectation, because also if you heard how it is there, and you're asking for those people who just travel the world, they're gonna say they're gonna see the good part, so they're gonna say it's awesome, it's perfect. But if you ask someone to actually live there for a few years, probably gonna get a different story.